Yes, hello everyone. Welcome back to another video here on Cluiche with me, Séamus Brady, your host. And for this one, I'm joined once again by Matthew Hurley, the Gaelic Statsman. We are going to run through all of the results from another bumper weekend of action in the Allianz Leagues 2024. Matthew, I'm half happy, half depressed, obviously, after the footballers blitzed Kerry and then the Hurlers got annihilated by Limerick. You're a pretty happy man across the board. Obviously, Cork Camogie team getting a victory, Cork Hurlers getting a victory, and the Cork footballers getting a last-minute victory. How are you feeling after that?
Yeah, feeling good, Séamus. Yeah, thanks for having me on again. Yeah, the Camogie was kind of expected. The Hurlers, it was kind of disappointing really at the end. I thought they'd coast on more than anything. Fair play to Waterford for getting back into it, but they came back into it. Well, Cork got the job done in the end. And the footballers, yeah, last smash and grab win. And the thing was, up until stoppage time, Cork never led the game. And ultimately, a ball goes in. Marshanley scrambles the ball in. I was just hearing it on radio now, so I don't know the exact details of it, but from what I was hearing, it was a scramble in the area. We don't know who got the goal. In the end, John Cleary said it was Marshanley, so we'll say it was Marshanley in the end. So fair play to Morris for getting in from cornerback to score the winner. So big win for the Cork footballers. And now everything seems a bit more on the up, seeing as we do have Kildare next week. Kildare lost to Meath today, so yeah, it looks a bit better for Cork, I'm not going to lie, other than the last few weeks.
Yeah, no, that's it. And one result does change the perspective. Like that last gasp goal from, we'll give it to Marshanley as well, completely changes the perspective of the remainder of Cork's league campaign. Now, before we dive in with the action and go through it division by division, round by round, we're going to go to the GA news, which obviously took place this week because it is a big one. Jarlath Burns, of course, is the new GAA president. And like, first things first, I like the sound of this guy. Like, I mean, he comes in, he's an Armagh GA legend. Anybody I've ever met who's come into contact with Jarlath Burns, I haven't had the pleasure of meeting him yet, but anyone who's come into contact with him has just said he's an absolute gentleman. I haven't heard anything bad about him. The photo of him up on the goal changing the nets after he was, announced as the next GA president, like, I mean, that sums up the guy he is. Like, he's humble, he knows his roots. And yeah, I have to say, like, his first kind of speech that he vowed to make 2025's event a rule change Congress. And he spoke about wanting to make Gaelic football more attractive, both to watch and to play. Like, I'll read a quote that he says. He says, the sight of endless passing across the half-forward line without any risks being taken before the ball is channeled back to a midfielder who repeats the process from the other side of the pitch is not what Gaelic football should be. I think we can all agree on that. So, I mean, he clearly has his finger on the pulse of what most fans are thinking. I like the sound of him. What do you make of it?
Yeah, I've liked the sound of him since he walked out the door, to be honest with you. And I think the worry amongst GA fanatics was he'd take more attention to the football rather than the hurling. But his quote yesterday suggested that I am a Gaelic Games man. I haven't played hurling or anything like that, but I am going to try to improve it for the grassroots level as well. And that's all we want really from a GA president. And a GA president that knows people as well. Like I go back to Larry McCarthy, like even to the bitter end, like even calling Danny McGill someone else from Ulster University, that just put the nail in the coffin. To be honest with you, he just forgot the names when players were going up for the trophies. He forgot Declan Hannon's club when he was awarding the Limerick player the trophy, and he walked out of interviews. And ultimately, I think it ended in disaster really for Larry McCarthy. And I think it was the right time to bring in this guy now, Jarlath Burns. There has been a lot of negativity, but at the same time, him fixing up the nets. He knows the players inside out. He knows Gaelic football, what needs to be done to fix it. And he said it yesterday about hurling as well. He's not really a hurling man. He had never probably played hurling in his life. But even in his own county in Armagh, he wants to develop hurling going up through the ranks. And I think that's a brilliant appointment. It's a sign of a brilliant appointment for the GA itself. And hopefully in the next few years, the fruits of, his comments will come to fruition in the next few years. And yeah, I think it's an unreal appointment, Séamus. And looking at the quotes that he said yesterday in Congress, I think it's going to be a very, very bright future for the association.
It definitely will be, because looking at the article there, credit to the article on the 42, it's brilliant. The article done about Jarlath Burns. Um, it goes through how he's referencing the costs of inter-county teams spiraling. Like, that's something else that everybody has been very, very concerned about. He's labelled it as a financial noose around the necks of county boards. So he very much is passionate about what he's doing. Gaelic football as well does need someone to kind of change the rules to push it a little bit, like a rule like a shot clock, or like no going back inside your own half once you bring it into the opposition's half. Gaelic football variations of rules that worked for sports like basketball and everything like that. That definitely is something to look into, and he certainly has his finger on the pulse with it. He understands what it means to the communities as well. As a man who is part of the local community, going out and changing the nets himself, he knows what it means to the people of every parish, how important the GAA is. And I like the cut of him so far. So Jarlath Burns, you've got my vote. I can't wait to see what he does as GAA president. He sounds like an absolute gentleman, and I look forward to seeing what he does in the role. So diving in now to the Allianz Football League action first. We're going to start off with Division 1's round 4. And this is the bit where I get happy, Matthew. Dublin 3-18, Kerry 1-14 at Croke Park. What a performance by the Dubs. Like, just absolutely insane. I think Dublin had 2-9 from 12 shots or something quite early on in the game. It was absolutely remarkable, the first half performance by the Dubs. Genuinely in recent memory, I'd say since the Mayo game, that's as good a performance as I've seen in the last 2 or 3 years from Dublin. It was vintage Dublin.
It was absolutely, and even you mentioned the 2-9 from 12 shots, and the 12 shot that wasn't scored was actually Con O'Callaghan's shot that was saved by Shane Ryan. So that could have easily ended up as 3.
Of all people, Con O'Callaghan missed a hat-trick. Unbelievable.
Yeah. Oh, what a night he had, in fairness. And Con O'Callaghan, I think there's kind of a tendency amongst forwards nowadays, especially in the lower divisions, to blast the ball against the goalkeeper, blast it against the bar. Con O'Callaghan, he was exemplary last night. Like, the finishing he did, I think the third goal, I know it was out of reach for Kerry at that point, but the way he just slid it under Shane Ryan, it was just magical, really. It was an unbelievable finish. And Dublin in that first half, Kieran Kilkenny was hitting the lights out. Sean Bogler was absolutely outstanding. And this was a Dublin team without Cullen Baskell and Cormac Costello and Paul Mannion, arguably Dublin's best 3 forwards, performing forwards last season. So to perform like that, it'll give Desi Farrell a load of confidence over it. And it was a really, really good performance from them. And I think I see the stat online that Kerry, the only time they conceded this sort of a margin was actually the 2013 All-Ireland semi-final against Dublin. So it rarely happens to a Kerry team that they concede that much at Croke Park. But Dublin made them look very ordinary last night. They looked really, really good, really on the pulse. And overall, 70% shot accuracy from Dublin. I think it was around the 80% mark in the first half. Like, it was just absolutely outstanding from pillar to post. They really, really blitzed Kerry in many ways. Yes, Kerry, there were a few faults in defence. Like, Jason Foley was seriously out of his depth really last night. Ty Morley didn't have a good game. David Clifford, he is human. I think he had 8 shots last night. He missed 5 of them. And I honestly think Séamus, and we said it during the week on our respective podcasts, I think the pressure got to David Clifford. I think the fans geeing him up, the Dublin fans in the hill, I think they were hurling abuse or something at him, and he just couldn't take it last night. I think he just looked a bit of a shadow of his former self. Sean O'Shea looked poor enough last night as well. But having said all that about the negatives about Kerry, it was all about Dublin. Dublin made them look bad. That was a really, really good performance from Dublin last night, and they shut a load of people up with it. A lot of people were thinking Kerry ran to the All-Ireland, but looking at that performance last night, Dublin looking serious, fetting to go on an All-Ireland surge. And that's Dublin team without the 3 forwards that I mentioned, without James McCarthy, without Jack McCaffrey, without Stephen Cluxton, without Mick Fitzsimons. Séamus, this is a positive time to be a Dublin fan right now.
It certainly is. And I mean, like, it's the same. I can't wipe the smile off my face. It's the same thing that Aaron said in his post-match reaction video. Great video. And he was talking about that he expected Kerry to have a bit more bite about them because that they lost the All-Ireland final last year. And you would expect that Kerry would have a bit more bite about them because, like, but Con O'Callaghan gets that goal very early for Dublin. Then the penalty, he tucks it away. And it was a penalty. It was a foul inside the box. Con tucks it away. I just couldn't believe how normal Kerry looked. They looked bang average. It genuinely looked like Dublin could just do whatever they wanted in the first half. Kerry had a full forward line with David Clifford and Sean O'Shea, and they didn't look threatening at all in the first half. Dublin went into this game with no starter. With no starting cornerback that you would have said was a staple in the full-back line for Dublin, apart from maybe Merchant. But Merchant, you wouldn't describe him as your typical cornerback. He's more of a roamer. Like, he moves up and down the pitch. He's a key ball carrier for Dublin. We were talking about this. Who picks up David Clifford? We were saying, could it be Theo Clancy? It's a bit early for him, even though he's looked great for Kilmacud Crokes and he's looked great for Dublin since he started. Could it be Sean McMahon? We never thought it would be Owen Merchant. Like, just genuinely, Owen Merchant was on him for most of the game. And still, Merchant did a good job on him. There were a few instances where Clifford got away from him, had a couple of chances for goal, blasted them over on both occasions. Dublin played risky, and the risk paid off.
It did. And one thing that goes to mind when you talk about David Clifford and Sean O'Shea, what is the most supply of ball that goes into the two lads? It's Paddy Clifford. And to me, in the first half, I don't know, was it the same in Croke Park for yourself, Séamus, and Aaron himself as well? But on the TV, it looked like Paddy Clifford was anonymous last night, especially in the first.
He got no ball.
Yeah.
And anytime he got it, he was hustled, harried. He didn't get to do anything he wanted to do.
And that's the thing. I think the way to stop Kerry, and I think teams might clock onto this that Dublin did last night. Keep Paddy Clifford quiet. If you keep Paddy Clifford quiet, where's the supply ball going into the two lads?
Yeah,
so I'm going to say, like, that is a lesson for every other country to follow. And Owen Merchant to go on David Clifford as well. Consider the size of him as well.
Yeah.
You know, to go on him.
Striking in the stadium. It was like, if a high ball goes in here, there's only one winner. And yet Kerry just refused to play it.
But that's the thing.
Play to David's strengths. If they go, okay, we're going to put Merchant on him. Okay, well, let's move David closer to the goal and let's fire a high ball in.
But the thing is, Shane,
that kind of checkmates Dublin. You're going to put Theo on him. You're going to put Sean McMahon on him. Right, we'll move him out, and David can win that one-on-one battle and shoot high. You're going to put someone who will be able to keep up with David for pace. Okay, we'll just move him closer to the goal and hit the high ball in on him. But Kerry kind of played into Dublin's hands by letting David stay relatively far away from the goal with Merchant on him, because Merchant's going to have the pace to keep up with him.
But the thing is, with the ball you mentioned, and you mentioned it on the first episode of my podcast on the Allianz League as well, Séamus, if the ball into Sean O'Shea and David Clifford is crap, then it's useless. That's what you said on my podcast, and it was definitely exemplified last night. If Paddy Clifford doesn't get the ball, who's going to put the ball into him? Dylan Gainey is more of a forward player. Killian Burks is a very good player, very good youngster. But he's not experienced.
Dylan Gainey and both Dylan Gainey and Killian Burke were both whipped off. They were both taken out of the game.
And there's a sign for that. Like, they weren't playing well. And that's not a fault on them. They're two young lads. They're two very exciting young players. But maybe last night was just too soon for them. But then again, Séamus, you could make the argument. It was a good performance, really, really exemplary performance from Dublin last night. But you could argue Kerry might have the last laugh come the summer. They might have learned a lot from last night, and they might have taken some learnings and maybe take them learnings into an All-Ireland semi-final or an All-Ireland final. I don't think, as Dublin were last night, I don't think that result will happen in the latter stages of the championship. I think Kerry have a better performance in them than that. So it's all to play for in the All-Ireland, but Kerry, judging by that performance last night, have quite a bit to do to get up to the level of Dublin the way they performed last night. But what I will say a positive about Kerry, Joe Connor in midfield was very, very good, I thought, especially in the second half, and him driving up the field.
Until he got taken off. I was surprised they took him off. I was like, why? He's the only one doing stuff.
He scored the goal, and he did a very good job at scoring the goal, rounded the goalkeeper, and that's a midfielder, you know.
And he got a lovely point soon after, and then all of a sudden the board went up. and he's coming off. I was like, what on earth are they? I don't whip anyone else off, but don't take him off. He's the only one who's stepping up to Dublin. He's the only one giving us problems. Like,
and it probably, yeah,
I found that strange. And then there's another thing that Jack O'Connor did, which I was like, what is the point of that? Is sitting up in the crowd. Why
in the second half?
Okay, I know it's you're not a rugby coach, mate. Get down on this. Like, do you know what I mean? I don't understand that.
Yeah. I don't either, but maybe just the half went wrong, all wrong for Kerry. Everything that could go wrong in the first half went wrong. And I think Jack O'Connor was just thinking, ridiculous thoughts and trying to throw the kitchen sink at Dublin in many ways. And doing things
that Kerry had moments where they missed. David Clifford missed a goal chance fairly early on where he kind of dummied a hand pass. David O'Hanlon moved across to the right. Clifford shot low into the side netting. Con O'Callaghan got the goal. I can't remember if it was before or after that, but it was around the same kind of 5-10 minute spell. Then on top of that, David Clifford blasted over a goal chance in the first half. He did the same thing in the second half. Like, there were moments where Kerry could have scored goals and didn't. And you're like, if some of them had gone in and Con wasn't absolutely shooting the lights out. But still, no, Dublin had them figured out. Dublin had their kickouts figured out. Fenton was winning everything. Dublin then also had snuffed out Paddy Clifford. They'd snuffed out Killian Burke and Dylan Gainey's running from the half-forward line. They completely put a stop to that. And we have to give, before we move on, a special segment to Con O'Callaghan. Because genuinely in the league, particularly in the Roscommon game, and the Kerry game, it's been like Dublin have just taken the muzzle off Con O'Callaghan. Like last year, it felt like he was doing a lot of the kind of donkey work, like, putting the yards in, winning dirty ball, laying it off to like Costello and all that. But this year, it's like, he's the man. And to score 3-4 in Croke Park against Kerry is unbelievable. No matter what stage of the year it's in, if it's the league or the championship, 3-4, he dominated. He absolutely shot the lights out. What a player.
He is, and the thing is, like, there was the argument, I think our good friend John McMahon made this comment on X, that if David Clifford had this sort of a performance, would we, flick the back pages over us? Mm-hmm. Is it a good one? Yeah, because Con was absolutely brilliant last night. Like, everything he touched turned to gold. I think he took about, it was 9 shots last night, converted 7. Like, this guy, everything that could go right from went right from, and he dominated Jason Foley in that match. Like, he absolutely destroyed him. It was something that you wouldn't see in Croke Park usually in a Dublin and Kerry game, and all credit has to go to Con. It was a really, really good performance from him, and he definitely has to be up there with one of the best forwards in the country. People have been talking about Shane Walsh and David Clifford, and rightly so. They are two brilliant forwards. But Con O'Callaghan has to be in the conversation as well. And we'll get on to Tyrone later, but Darragh Canavan's in the conversation as well. So you have 4 them forwards that are in the form of their lives in recent seasons. And we're lucky to have them in many ways, Séamus, because Con last night was just really, really good. Like, everything, as I said, everything he touched turned to gold.
That's it. No, he certainly had the Midas touch last night, and Dublin certainly had the Midas touch. 3-18. To 1-14. Now, I don't think that this is a guarantee that Dublin are going to win the All-Ireland, but it certainly is a good sign that the future as well is bright, because players like Greg McEnany, Lee Gannon, Lorcan O'Dell, Ross McGarry, Sean Bugler, that were all so heavily involved. Con O'Callaghan even himself, these lads aren't going anywhere anytime soon. So it's really, really positive for the future, but not maybe positive for the future for other teams. But anyway, we'll move on then to, you mentioned about Darragh Canavan. He led the way for Tyrone in this one. 115-111 at Healy Park. This is a huge, huge win for Tyrone. Canavan got the goal. It was a really dogged performance by Tyrone. And against a lot of people saying that they would lose this game to Mayo, they once again beat Mayo in a big game. And that now puts them on 4 points. Their chances of survival now look pretty strong.
They do, to be fair, and they shut a lot of people up, including myself and yourself, Séamus. They do that quite a lot, Tyrone. Whenever they seem to be down, they produce a good performance. But what I will say in the first half, it looked like plain sailing. Mayo were going to win this game. Killian O'Connor was hitting the lights out. Jordan Flynn was performing well. The midfield was motoring well. And Tyrone just looked rudderless. They looked out of ideas in that first half. Like, it was always slow, lethargic, build up in that first half. But then, as soon as we talk about Darragh Canavan, but as soon as Darren McCurry comes on in the second half, they're a completely different team. They have an outlet. He's going to, everything he shoots, he puts over the bar. Like, he had an 80% shot accuracy in that second half. Darragh Canavan gets that goal, obviously, and it was a well-taken goal. He had a lot to do from where he got the ball initially to jig in and out and put the ball into the back of the net. But Mayo, in addition, I don't know, they just looked out of ideas themselves in that second half. Like, as soon as Tyrone pushed up on Mayo's kickouts, Robbie Henley was struggling, the whole Mayo midfield was struggling, and Tyrone just pushed up on them, and they did absolutely brilliant in that second half and got a crucial win. A word on Darragh Canavan. Last 4 games, his statistics against Maynooth University, UCD, Galway, and Mayo combined: 19 shots, 1 goal, 14 points, 112 from play, 79% shot accuracy, 2 man of the match awards. And the man of the matches were last night against Mayo and the game against UCD in the Sigerson final. The guy's on fire. And having said that, if he was staying on for the last 10 minutes of the Galway game last week, he probably would have got man of the match in that game too. And Tyrone probably would have won that. So, yeah, I'd love to be in Darragh Canavan's shoes at the moment, Séamus. He's in the form of his life.
He certainly is, and you'd love to have him on your team as well. There was one bit of controversy from this game that we will touch on before we move on to the last 2 games in Division 1. That was the Mayo penalty in the first half, and then the subsequent black card to Cormac Quinn. First instinct, it looked outside the box. And then, there's a question, did he actually mean to take out Jordan Flynn? I'm unsure. I think there is an art to making it look like it was an accident, but personally, I didn't think he 100% meant it. What did you think?
I think the honest, probably interpretation of this rule is it a goal scoring opportunity? We're going back to the Sean Powter and Paul Ganey rule last year, and the Niall Scully rule Kildare. Do I think it was a goal scoring opportunity? I think if Jordan Flynn gets a touch of the ball, and let's say he wasn't trips, he probably would have gone through on goal. But there's a few Tyrone defenders around, so it's a hard one to judge. It really is, Séamus. It's down to interpretation of the referee. If he deems it a goal scoring opportunity, it's a penalty. It's a hard one it really is a hard one to judge, because like the one with Powter and Gailey last year was given, and then the one with Niall Scully wasn't given, and now this one was given last night. So, and there was another one with a similar incident last year between Westmeath and Tyrone in the All-Ireland group stages, where Kevin Maguire clearly takes out the Tyrone player. I'm not sure who it was off the top of my head.
Conn Kilpatrick, yeah.
Conn Kilpatrick. That was a clear drag down, and it was a goal scoring opportunity.
Like, literally from here, like the collar. Yanked him down. Because Kilpatrick's so big as well, it happened in slow motion.
And the point is, if that wasn't given as a goal scoring opportunity, why is this given as a goal scoring opportunity when there's so many men around? And the one with Kevin Maguire, there was no Westmeath player behind them.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's
a lack of consistency, and that's why the Cork one last year was so baffling, because no Kerry player even, protested for a penalty. I remember last year they were all like, "Oh, we'll take the free." Oh wait, it's a penalty. The referee seemed to be the only one in the stadium who was like, "Yeah, okay, that's a penalty." That's why he's like, consistency needs to be implemented there. Tyrone, we'll get into these as well. Monaghan lost. We'll get on to that. That was a shocker of results for Monaghan. Roscommon are still obviously in the mix, even though they won. Galway losing to Derry as well. That kind of puts them right in the mix as well. We'll take a look here, because we'll look at it before we move on. Obviously as well, we'll look at it just here, the official league table, how things stand now. So that's the Division 1 table. Tyrone now are 4th. So they're level on points with Mayo and Dublin. And like we said, they still have to face Monaghan, they still have to face Kerry, and they still have to face Dublin. So
Yeah.
it's not exactly an easy run in, especially because Monaghan are going to be scrapping for points as well. But where do you see Tyrone finishing now?
It's a tough one, actually. Looking at
Then
that
Mayo as
table,
well, Matthew. Like, I'm just thinking about it there. Mayo as well.
that's
Like,
the thing. Like, I will say this, Séamus. Other than Derry, every team in this division is in trouble.
yeah.
Look at the points. Look at the points. There's a gap of 2 points between Dublin in second and Monaghan in eighth. That's the Division 1. It's just incredible in its own right. I think, looking at the statistics there, looking at the points difference, Kerry could easily get dragged into it as well.
Mm-hmm.
Looking at like -1 points difference, that is really, really poor from them. I think the favourites at the moment to go down are Roscommon and Monaghan. They might prove us wrong in the next few weeks, but Tyrone are certainly in a good position. Like, I'm thinking who they have next, Tyrone. I think they
I don't know.
have Kerry,
I don't
Dublin, and is it Yeah, Kerry, Dublin, Monaghan. You would expect them to lose to Kerry and Dublin. That's granted, but I think they'd beat Monaghan. So 6 points, I think that should be enough for them to stay up shape. So I think they'll finish about fifth or fourth. No, the fact they won last night.
Yeah, no, it definitely is a good point. They play Kerry next, and then they've Dublin.
Mm.
And the Kerry game is away from home, and Kerry need a bite back. So that one might be a difficult game. But again, it's a Kerry team that are completely shook for confidence, especially the full back line after conceding 3 goals. That would be a really tasty one to look
Yeah.
at. And Jack O'Connor will have them fired up to the back axis because of what happened this weekend against Dublin. Like, it's just unbelievable how they capitulate. I never, ever, ever, ever saw it going like that. If you told me at the start of the day that Dublin would win by 10 points, just bizarre. So they need a massive response. Tyrone, going down to Kerry, it's going to be a difficult place to go and come out with a win, but they definitely are capable of it. And with Dara Canavan and Darren McCurry in their side, they're going to be as confident as ever. One team that is as confident as ever, they pulled up another victory, making it 4 wins out of 4. They topped the table sitting pretty as Derry. They beat Galway 3-10 to 1-11 at Pearse Stadium. However, there were 2 key moments in this game. First one, Galway missing the goal chance. In the 36th minute, Niall Daly goes straight through on goal with Ryan Scullion. Scullion saves it, not once, but twice, and the ball goes out and Scullion deals with it. Niall Daly, you can see him immediately. He knew that was a massive goal chance. You do not get those chances against Derry like that. And then, just minutes later, Derry are awarded a penalty for a foul committed by Kieran Malloy. Kieran Malloy is given a black card, is sent off for the sin bin, and Shane McGuigan tucks the penalty away. From there, Derry go on to get the victory. Those 2, that's it. Those are the differences. Those are the margins. Derry go on to win, I think, because of those 2 moments. I think if Niall Daly sticks it in the back of the net, what me and you were talking about being a real banana skin, I think that would have come to fruition had those moments have gone differently.
And that's it for Galway. It was just the key moments. If they converted that goal chance, we could have been talking about something else. But yeah, Derry, they do what they usually do in this division and win. They are really, really on fire at the moment. And the thing is with Derry, unlike other teams, as you mentioned there, they get the key moments on their side. They get it right. Galway don't, or any other side don't at the moment. And that's the difference. Like, Derry are just a really well-oiled machine at this present moment of time. And I think that's their first win against Galway in over 20 years in any competition. So they would love to break that duck. And they did it today, rather. Yeah, they did a really, really good performance. McGuigan scoring 1-2 there. And Owen McAvoy had a good performance. The centre back was here, and Conor Glass in midfield was very, very good as he usually is. We talked about Dublin being all Ireland contenders, and you would the Shater Cat kind of smile on your face, Séamus. But Derry, could they be all Ireland contenders too? Because look at the first
Absolutely.
4 games, they look really, really, really strong. And I don't know who's going to. The Kerry have lost to them now. Dublin still have to play them. The Dublin against Derry in the next few weeks should be a very interesting time.
It just depends on, that 100%. Dublin Derry is like literally one of the most anticipated games in the league, probably next to Dublin and Kerry. It's probably the most anticipated game in the league because, like, it's just the two teams that are just on red hot form right now. Dublin have suddenly got everybody talking about them because of the victory over Kerry, and Derry are, been seen as, been sung around the country as the form team and the team that are seemingly on an unstoppable push towards an All-Ireland title. Now, we do have a lot of people watching, so for anybody who is watching, if you want to put your comments in, let us know what you make of the current state of affairs in the GAA, the current state of these games, your opinions on them. We will answer them all, so please get involved in the discussion as well. But yeah, for Derry, it's a massive, massive result. They continue on the train. They seem to be quite unstoppable. We'll see if that continues against the Dubs next weekend. That would be one hell of a game. Now, one team who produced a massive result this weekend, like a genuinely massive result this weekend, was Roscommon. I had to do a double take, Matthew, when I saw this result. I didn't see this game, but 116 to 7 points. I was like, what? I was like, Monaghan weren't even close. Like, what the hell happened here? Roscommon led 9 points to 4 at halftime. And then Shane Canan hit the back of the net 3 minutes into the second half, basically to put the game to bed. Dara Craig also hit 4 points from play. Monaghan were never close to Roscommon in this game. With, I was thinking, this is what they do. This is the type of game that Monaghan would win to stay up. Are we seeing for the first time the sign that maybe this year is different?
I certainly think so, Séamus, because that was the key game today. And it was an opportunity to show that their defence isn't as bad as the stats show. Like I mentioned during the week on my show, Monaghan had the worst defensive record of any of the Allianz League teams with 67 conceded. I don't know, is that the same now? I have to double check this. But to concede 116 kind of exemplarised the point. Monaghan need to improve defensively because they cannot keep conceding these amounts of effort. Like 9 points to 4 at halftime, it looked over. You would expect Monaghan to get their chest out, get going in the second half, but then Shane Canan hits the goal and then no, that's it. But yeah, Monaghan, they're serious danger now going down. They still have to play Mayo, still have to play Tyrone, and still have to play Galway. So I don't see the stay up Séamus as of this season. But then again, they have proved us wrong before. Can they do it again? I don't know.
But that's it. They need another Dublin-esque performance. They do. Croke Park, they need that.
Yeah, to survive. And that's the main thing for Monaghan. But we're losing sight of the main story here, in my opinion, and it is Roscommon. They shut the pundits up with this performance. Really, really good. Dara Craig. Like, over the last few weeks, we talked about Darragh Canavan in the Sigerson Cup. Dara Craig scored 9 points in that Sigerson final. He scored 6 in this, 4 from play, as you mentioned. The guy's on fire. Anything, again, like Conor Cannon, more or less, anything he touches turns to gold. Shane Canan getting the goal was massive for them. Dermot Murtagh, Jolie Smith coming back into the team did really, really well. Enda Smith from midfield scored 3 points. He was the key in this game as well from driving up the field from that point of view for Roscommon. And it's a massive win for Davy Burke because there would have been a lot of stick after his post-match interview against Dublin last week. And to come out with this performance, I think he showed a lot of the media up here and really, really good for Roscommon, a crucial result for them. But can they maintain it for the rest of the league campaign? There are 3 points at the moment. I think one more win and they could very well be safe.
Yeah, no, I do agree with you. Let's take a look at the league table before we carry on and let's kind of speculate on what we think will happen from here. So Derry, I mean, it's a pretty safe bet to say that Derry will make it to the league final. I mean, they're like left to face, they have Dublin. That might be obviously a tricky one. Then on top of that, they have to face Mayo and they have to face Roscommon. Now, I think you can say that they'd probably beat Roscommon. So then the Mayo game could be tricky, but I still would tip them to win that. Then brings us to the Dublin one. So I think Derry, safe to say, they're in a league final. Dublin, Mayo, Tyrone, and Kerry all on 4 points. Like, I mean, that is just absolutely bizarre. Then Roscommon on 3, Galway on 3, Monaghan on 2. I mean, what are you thinking? Taking a look at that, if you had to spell it out?
It's a tough one, it really is. Right now, I'd say Monaghan and Roscommon are gone as of now. I'm just hoping that Galway more than anything, because they have very good footballers and they deserve Division 1 status. I'm just hoping that they get a good performance in the next few games. And look at the Tyrone game last week. Not today, though, last week. Galway looked very, very good. And there is that
Yeah,
performance
you
in them.
can't doubt the fight there last week. They showed it.
That's the thing. And you can't, but then again, you can't doubt the fight that Roscommon showed today.
Yeah.
So it's going to be very interesting looking at the fixtures. I know we've made the mistake time and time again. I tried my best to, predict Monaghan to stay up at the start of the season, but that result today probably epitomises, and the defensive qualities they've shown so far, I think they're going down, Séamus. This could be the year for the first time since 2014. They could be in Division 2.
Well, that's it. Like, you look at the score difference, minus 33. Like,
Yeah.
The thing is that we have to take into account, as we say, you're not guaranteed anything based off previous years. And Monaghan, if you were to look at it not knowing anything about the teams, you would look at Monaghan and say, well, they're going down. Because they still have to face Mayo, which is going to be a difficult game to win. I know they won it last year to keep themselves up, but if they're going into it this year without Darren Hughes, without Kieran Hughes, without Rory Beggan, without Conor McManus, we might see McManus appear for those games, especially when his county needs him. They need a bit of that magic. But when they're not probably playing with as strong a deck as they were last year, and they have to face Monaghan, when they have to face Mayo, they have to face, I believe, is it Galway, who will be scrapping for points as well, and they have to face Tyrone. It's not going to be an easy run in. But anyway, we'll move on to Division 2. Round 4, and the only place I can start is with your own Cork. They beat Fermanagh by 114 to 16 points in Derry. Obviously, Cork were 14 points to 11 behind with 3 minutes left. Then Ian Maguire and Stephen Sherlock pointed before Shanley got that goal that we were talking about, Maurice Shanley, who it was awarded to. Brian Hurley slotted a late free. Fermanagh then responded with 2 late points from Shane McGullion and Garvin Jones, but Cork held on for a huge win. The Rebels' first win in the Division 2 campaign this year.
Yeah, massive win, Séamus. I never thought you'd be, you say it to a Cork fan, that you'd be absolutely delighted with a win over Fermanagh. But unfortunately, that is where we're at the moment. And we have to, park it up a small bit. But it's a brilliant win. It really is. And considering we had, again, I was listening on the radio now, so I'm going off this, but judging by that, we had a lot of goal chances again today. We hit the bar through Daniel O'Mahony. I think Conor Corbett had a shot saved from Sean McNally in the second half as well. Ross Bogue had another good save for the Fermanagh goal, and Fermanagh fought 2 to the nail to get into the game. Declan McCusker scored 3 points, was a massive feat for him as well. And he performed very well, like he has done in previous games. And then that last 2 minutes comes. Ian Maguire gets to Stephen Sherlock, and they've come under criticism, including myself, including the Cork media, and they stood up today and wanted those points. They got them, and fair play to them for that. And then Shanley to come up off the bench, more or less, and then get that goal. What a story. Really, really good result for Cork today. And Brian Hurley, massive mention to him. A lot of negativity towards him from me, or more in the media from Cork. He got 8 points today and deserves all the plaudits. Fair play to him for that. Fermanagh fought hard, but I think the main moments, and I don't think League Sunday has been seen by anybody now, but I think on the radio it said Shane McGullion was running straight through a goal. He had the opportunity to fist the ball over the bar to make it a 2-point game to Fermanagh. He then decides to go for the goal, saved by Chris Kelly. If he puts it over the bar, I think Fermanagh would have gone on and won the game. And those are the margins. Margins. And the thing is, Fermanagh might regret that come the end of the season. They might say to themselves, if we took that point, we could be staying up in Division 2. But yeah, they can't go back on that now. And what makes it interesting now, Séamus, is Cork have Kildare next week. If they go on and win that, Fermanagh have Armagh at home. Louth have Donegal away. Cork are getting themselves slowly but surely out of this relegation dogfight. But I wouldn't have said that last week, but now it's looking a bit better. But the key thing is now, Séamus, to keep our feet on the ground, go to Páirc Uí Chaoimh next week and beat Kildare, because that's what we need to do to stay up in Division 2. But it's looking better than it did in the last few weeks. It's just great to get a win. It really is. And yeah, but for Fermanagh, I think they'll be crestfallen tonight. Really, really crestfallen to lose that game. They late for so long in that game. But Cork, they fought tooth and nail in the second half. It wasn't the perfect performance by any means, but they got over the line. They got the win in the end. And fair play to the lads for getting the win. But yeah, more challenges to come in the next few weeks.
Yeah, no doubt. And look, for Fermanagh, it's a massively difficult pill to swallow. I mean, like, you had that game in the palm of your hand and you let it slip. And Cork showed the fight that we were requesting from Kildare. Like, Cork showed they're not going down without a fight. And to snatch a victory from the jaws of defeat will give them massive confidence going into the Kildare game. The Kildare game is dangerous. I don't care how bad form Kildare are in. Kildare is like, right now, it's like walking past like a sleeping pit bull or like a Rottweiler or something like that. That, like, if you wake it up, do you know what I mean? It could be a very dangerous beast. But if it stays sleeping, it's an easy couple of points for Cork and an easy win. And hopefully, for your sake and for their sake, you know, survival and a path towards that. Another game that was a massive game for Louth that they let slip by them was this one against Cavan. They had them in RD. Cavan slip out the back door with a 2-13 to 3-9 victory. The goals from Jared Smith and James Smith. 2 late frees from Paddy Lynch got the 13 men of Cavan over the line. Cavan finished with 13 men, still get the victory. For Louth, again, same as for Fermanagh, they must be sitting there thinking big opportunity missed, because Louth still have to face Donegal, as you said.
That's the thing. And now, like, it's amazing how quickly these results change the complexion of the league, because Cork win the game against Fermanagh, Louth lose the game. Now Louth have to go to Donegal next week. And they look in massive trouble now, I have to say. And the thing is, it's not Stibber disgrace or anything like that. Louth performed 2-9 today. They had a man sent off through Kieran Downey, I think, in this game, looking through Scorpio. So they'd be feeling sick. Sam Mulroy, brilliant performance again with 2 goals and 2 points. But it seemed like a game that was both sides were willing to go on and win it, because there was 3 sending offs in the game. It seemed like a fisty encounter. But Cavan, they got over the line, and that's what good teams do, in fairness. They've got 6 points out of the possible 8 now. Fair play to them. Paddy Lynch again on form, and they're on a serious promotion charge now. I think the one that would set this back is the result of Donegal and Armagh, which we'll get on to later, I'm sure. But for Louth, I think they'll absolutely feel sick over that. And the thing is, if Cork beat Kildare next week and Louth lose to Donegal, which you're expected to do next week, suddenly Joe Brennan has a huge job in his hands to keep Louth in the division. And yeah, it's a massive 2 points drop for them, really is, for Louth. And again, like for Fermanagh, they'll be feeling absolutely gutted tonight.
Yeah, no, they definitely will. It's certainly an opportunity that they've let pass them by. But for Cavan, I mean, they battled to the victory. They deserve all the credit for it. Raymond Galligan continues to strut his stuff. And our good friend John McMahon, I'd say he's absolutely delighted after that result as well. Big shout out, of course, to the JMac podcast. Go follow that if you don't already. Now, we'll move on to Meath against Kildare. They finished Meath 12, Kildare 9 at Port Talton. Slightly better from Kildare. They showed a bit more fight in this game. They were actually leading 9 points to 8 after 52 minutes. But from here, Meath kicked 4 unanswered points to get the victory. The scores came from Matthew Costello, Cathal Hickey, Aaron Lynch, and Rory Kinsella. And the Royal County get over the line to get another victory. They're now sitting pretty on 5 points. Kildare still rooted to the bottom on 0 points after 4 games.
And the thing is as well, I think with 5 minutes of normal time to go in this game, looking at Scorpio here, it was 9 points apiece. And there was an opportunity there to take the game by the scruff of the neck and get over the line. But fair play to Meath. And I said this at the start of the league campaign. This is one of a few predictions I actually got right. I said Meath would be a dark horse this season. They look in good fettle under Colin O'Rourke. And they seem to be that way at the moment. That's 5 points out of a possible 8. And then they performed poorly against Fermanagh, so it could have easily been 6. So they look really, really good at the moment. Owen Friends on the form of his life. You have Matthew Costello there. You obviously have Aaron Lynch coming onto the pitch. And they showed fight to get over the line. They really did in a derby. in a tense derby in Park Talton, and fair play to them for doing that. But for Kildare, as you said, a bit better. Looking at it on Scorpio, it looked a bit better, and looking at it from a score-by-score point of view, they were ahead for nearly most of the game, but they couldn't finish it out. And that's the difference. Like, the thing is with Cork and Kildare, we were differentiating them over the last few weeks. Kildare performed 2-0 today and get defeated. Cork were losing for most of the game and get a smash and grab goal at the end in additional time. That's probably the difference between the two sides, unfortunately. But then again, they could rock up the Park and Keith next week and win it. But what I will say from a Kildare point of view now, they have to win that game next week. If they lose that, they are relegated. Simple as. So,
on top of that is the prospect of they still have to face Donegal and Louth. There's actually a bit of a serious there's a serious possibility Kildare go down losing all 7 games.
It is, yeah. And I think they have to look towards the Cork game next week as a positive. Like, Cork could have put in a lot of energy into the Fermanagh game today. Kildare might catch them on the hop next week, and they'll be aiming to do that. There's no doubt about that. And I think from a Cork point of view, I think John Cleary would be looking at that bite back for Kildare more than anything. Because, as you said, it's like a Rottweiler walking past them. Because we know Kildare have potential. They have brilliant players. They have to prove. They proved it in some spades today, but they lost. They have to prove it again next week and go on and win it. That's the difference. The thing is, it's like Glenn Ryan, he has to perk up his players. If he doesn't do that, they are going down. I think, honestly, I didn't do the maths or anything like that, but I think without maths or anything like that, if Kildare lose next week, they're gone. They are gone. So it's a big game. Huge.
It's absolutely massive. There's no question about it. And the game from Division 2 that everybody was looking forward to this weekend was, of course, the clash between Armagh and Donegal. It finished honours even. Armagh won 9, Donegal 12 points. Both sides lose their 100% record so far. Andrew Murnan's 17th minute goal had Armagh narrowly ahead at half-time, won 5 to 7 points. Rian O'Neill, we predicted that he would feature. He looked to have given Armagh the victory with a late point, but Shane O'Donnell hit an even later equaliser for Donegal to share the spoils. And the interesting point I'm going to make about this is Donegal beat Cavan. So let's take a look at this just to remind ourselves of the situation as it is unfolding. If we look at the Division 2 table, Cavan are now on 6. Donegal and Armagh are on 7, but Donegal have beaten Cavan. Cavan against Armagh, that's basically like a promotion playoff at this stage.
It is, yeah. And I will say, Armagh, it's nothing against, they have performed well and did very well to get the draw today. And they battled 2-0 again. Like, Rian O'Neill coming back into the team is a massive boost for them. But Cavan are brilliant form themselves. So it's a dangerous game for Armagh. It really, really is. You'd expect Donegal, that was a good result for them today, to go to the Atlantic Grove to get a point. You'd be expecting them now to take that from the battle and get up to Division 1, back to Division 1. But for Armagh, it's going to be a difficult game against Cavan in the next few weeks. I think, when is that game actually, Séamus, Armagh Cavan? Is it next week?
I'll just find out for you now.
I'll have a look. I'll have a look. No, but
exactly right, because it's a massive game. Cork Kildare is next week.
It's Fermanagh Armagh, sorry.
Fermanagh Armagh next week. Cavan against Meath. Cavan against Meath actually is a big game. Yeah. Cavan against Meath is a big game. Like, if we take a look at the table again, look at Meath. Meath are on 5 points. So if Meath win that, they actually leapfrog Cavan into 3rd place. And they would go level on points with Donegal and Armagh should either of them slip up, which they won't. But they'd be sitting on 7 points. And Meath actually, remarkably, still have to face Donegal. So there is, like, I don't think it's likely, but Meath have an outside shot of promotion as well. Like, the league is just absolutely mental.
That's the thing. It's almost like a 1-2 split, because the top half have a chance of promotion and the bottom half are all in trouble. Yeah. So that's
if you had to predict it, like, let's take a look at it there now. Like, because the Armagh Donegal game, it was an arm wrestle of a game. Like, I think it didn't really have as much of the quality as maybe people expected. It was a back and forth arm wrestle, which finished in a draw. And Mernan's goal, well taken in the 17th minute. Rian O'Neill, as I said, looked to have hit the winner. It finishes on as even. Like, I would predict, well, I think Kildare are a goner. I think one of Louth or Fermanagh will slip under. At this moment in time, if you had to push me on it, I'd probably say Fermanagh might slip under. Cork and Louth, I think, will stay up. I still think Donegal and Armagh will go up. I think Armagh will beat Cavan in that game. I think Donegal will beat Meath. What would you kind of think?
Well, you have to look at the three sides fixtures there. I'd agree with you, Kildare are goner. I think, look at the fixture. I know Cork's fixtures off by heart, but I think we should beat Kildare next week, but I'd be wary of it. I think we'll lose to Meath because Meath are in very good form and would, like, at the same time, Séamus, Armagh could be already up come match day 7 for Cork. Yeah, so Cork could be essentially being a B team then. Fermanagh, who have they got to play? I'm thinking Dave Armagh home next week.
Louth and Fermanagh are playing against each other. Louth and Fermanagh still have each other.
Yeah. And where is that game?
I will find it for you right now. Louth. So next week, Louth are playing Donegal. That won't be a win for them.
Yeah,
like Donegal will be far too strong. Louth against Fermanagh is on St. Patrick's Day and it's in RD, so that's massive advantage towards Louth. That's that strengthens my argument. I think Louth will win that and jump over Fermanagh.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with you. Because RD is such a fortress for Louth. So, and Louth still have to play Kildare as well. So that could easily be 6 points on the board for them. So, for Manus,
it's absolutely huge. There's so many things that could play out. Like, it really, really is. And like we could listen back to this and think, God, we were way off there. I mean, I'd love to play a piece from us last week saying that Monaghan were going to beat Roscommon, and then what happened? But anyway, we'll round up divisions 3 and 4, and then we'll move from the big ball to the small ball, and we'll go back to the big ball then for the LGFAs. Division 4 will run through Division 4's round 6. So Division 3's round 4, we had 4 games obviously across the weekend. Down beat Offaly in a really entertaining game of Port Kessler, 4-12 to 2-14. Clare beat Wicklow 2-15 to 8 points. Sligo beat Antrim by 120 to 113 in Markovich Park, and Westmeath kept their 100% record intact, beating Limerick 14 points to a goal and 8. What did you make of those results?
Yeah, I think they were kind of gone the way that everybody expected them to go.
Clean sweep for the home teams.
Yeah, exactly. Down, it looked like a closer game, but even looking at it on inspection, I think Offaly got their 2 goals very, very late on through Jack Brynett and Keith O'Neill. 2 goals from Liam Kerr in this game, so he's on razor sharp form. Clare expected win really against Wicklow. Limerick actually pushed Westmeath very close. I didn't expect them to do that. So maybe it'll show a bit of fight in Jimmy Lee's team. And Sligo beating Antrim was a big result for them. Noel Murphy getting 8 points there. So it definitely puts Sligo back in the promotion conversation. But for Antrim, 2 losses in a row now for them after such a promising start. So, things don't seem to be going well there. And that stat, I have to look more into that. 3 teams on 0 points, and we're in match day 4.
Yeah,
it's incredible.
I mean, let's take a look. That looks pretty ugly, doesn't it? Down the bottom, like Offaly -10, they're on 0 points. Wicklow -26, they're on 0 points. Limerick -31, they're on 0 points. Like, there's a way to go down, and all of that sounds stupid. There's a way to get relegated, and there's certain ways the teams have got relegated where you're like, okay, they got relegated, but they're going to come back. Like, say for example, when Dublin went down in 2022. I know that I'm using a biased example. Okay, forget Dublin. I won't use Dublin. When Mayo went down in 2021, and they went down, they lost very narrowly to Tyrone, and they went down because of that result. But you knew, so it was 2020 it was, and you knew from that game Mayo will come back because they did. It's not like they got absolutely whipped and sent back down. Like, if Kildare lose all 7 games in Division 2, I wouldn't be confident they're coming straight back out of Division 3. Like, there's a way to go down. There's a way to get relegated that makes you think, yeah, I could see you coming straight back up. Like the way Armagh got relegated last year, you knew they'd be straight back up. So, but the way that Limerick and Wicklow look like they're going down, depending on who wins those games, I would shade it still slightly to Offaly to get the upper hand in those games. You can't go down, as badly as that.
No, you can't. You really can't. And it's just an unusual situation. But I think Wicklow and Limerick was expected to be fair to all three sides. But for Offaly, like what the amount of youngsters there, I think it's just amazing that they're in this situation in the first place. How on earth have they managed to be in Division 3? I'm actually not sure, because they were very competitive in Division 2 just a couple of years ago, Séamus. How has it got low? And Declan Kenny has come in as manager. I'm actually not sure what's going on with Offaly at the moment.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't look pretty. But I still think that they will stay up. I think they'll win those head-to-head games against Wicklow and against Limerick and keep themselves safe. Although the Limerick showed a lot of fight. So that certainly won't be an easy one. And then a word before we move on, of course, down in Westmeath, keeping their 100% records intact. 8 points from a possible 8. It's been as good as it can be for both of those teams. They still obviously have to face each other, but they'll be absolutely delighted with how their league campaigns have gone. And then obviously Clare and Sligo just behind them on 6 points, still an outside shot for promotion should anything change.
Yeah, I think down to Westmeath are clear to go up really, but at the same time, Westmeath were very lucky in 2 games in particular. Today against Limerick, when Limerick showed a lot of fight, and the Clare game when it should have been a square ball, whereas Down have won their games comfortably every game. So that probably epitomises
you can see it there, a difference in the score difference. Like Down are on 34, Westmeath are on 14. The same as Clare, who they beat.
And beat by dubious decision as well. So
yeah.
So yeah, I think Down, they seem to be on the right track, don't they, Séamus? They look a really, really good all machine under Colin Aberdeen. They look a really good team at the moment. Or Murdoch's doing well, Liam Kerr. And they seem to be taking that Taunton Cup form into this season as well. And they look absolutely lightning at the moment.
They look polished. They look like they're close to the complete article, and they look far too good to be in Division 3. And some good stuff has come from Division 3. You see how good Derry are doing? Like, their journey started in Division 3 when obviously Gallagher took over and, Glass came back and everything like that. Like, I know they were in Division 4 and they got out of there, but the real progress, like noticeable progress, started when they were in Division 3. Now, moving to Division 4, Round 4, and I'll give you your props for this. I got 3 out of 4 correct. You got 4 out of 4 correct. Wexford, 21 points. Waterford won 7 at Wexford Park. Longford beat London 3-12 to 110 at Pearse Park. Laois beat Tipperary 11 points to 1-7 in Semple Stadium, thanks to a 71st minute free from Paul Kingston. And in the game that decided it for you to take the sweep and not me was Carlow against Leitrim. At Dr. Cullen Park, Carlow 2-14, Leitrim 1-16. Colm Hulton hit a goal in the 76th minute to snatch victory from the jaws of defeat for Carlow. We'll start with that one. What did you make of Round 4 of Division 4, and how crucial a result is that for Carlow in the promotion push?
The 3 previous games that you mentioned, clean sweep there, expected results really. No disrespect to the losers there, but a very good fight actually from Tipperary in Semple Stadium today to push Laois all the way. A very good Laois side, so fair play to Tipperary for that. For Carlow, it's a massive win. It really is. And I've seen this, the goal from Colm Hulton. They actually showed the highlights in Carlow GA. Who would have believed, RT, you could actually show it through your own GA social channel?
Well said.
You could show some highlights from that, and you could see the Colm Hulton goal. If you haven't seen it, I've actually posted it myself on my Instagram page and credited the source and everything. Check that out if you haven't already, the Colm Hulton winner. Because Carlow had to do a lot to get from one half of the pitch down to the other, and he had a lot to do to finish that. A lot, Colm Hulton. Really, really good finish into the top corner, and it was just a bridal joy amongst the Carlow fans. And the commentary from KCNR, I think that's available some place online as well, is magical. Brilliant moments in Division 4. And more moments should be screened more than anything in these sorts of divisions, because that's just magic. You could talk about Conor Callaghan's performance and Conor Glass and stuff like that in Division 1. That's all brilliant, and they are brilliant players. But when it happens in Division 4, it should be videoed and things like that. And thank God it was today. Brilliant moment for Carlo to get the win today. Unlucky for Leitrim, but at the same time, they got a last-minute additional time winner last week. They were in the end of one this week. So maybe it goes around, comes around, sort of thing. But yeah, brilliant result for Carlo. And they're back in the promotion hunt now.
No doubt, no doubt. And well said with the crucial moments, the happy, the moments of pure joy. And like Carlo lived that like nothing we've ever seen. Remember the Carlo Rising and everything like that? It would be fun to see them go up. Carlo Rising Part 2. I mean, we've heard that a lot of times, but this season it seems different because if you look at the table there, Carlo now are level on points with Leitrim. They are both on 6 points each. Longford, I would still be wary of. I still think Longford have the players to make a late dash for promotion and, sneak up around the outside of Carlo and Leitrim and maybe pip them into the second promotion spot. I mean, that is what Wicklow did last year after all. Laois, though, I think Laois are set. Like Laois, as I said, like Laois are the team in Division 4. 4 wins from 4, comfortable at the top on 8 points. Waterford at the bottom and like 4 defeats out of 4, minus 40 points. Like an average losing margin of 10 points. In the basement division, it's pretty bleak for them down there. Tipperary, Wexford, like I think they'll finish more or less where they are right now. The division is interesting kind of around 2 to 4. And then I think the rest is fairly set in stone.
Yeah. And I think, honestly, the game that will decide it, I think Laois are up against Leitrim. Leitrim still have to play Laois in this. So, and Carlo have already played Laois before. So I think Carlo are in a very good position to go up. They really are. They have some very good players. I kind of backed them semi at the start of the season. I said they'd do better than everybody else predicted. I think a few people actually predicted the finish in the bottom half. I predicted the finish in the top half. Not necessarily promotion standard now, but I knew they had good players. And I think they're in a very good position to go up, especially with that fixture in between Laois and Leitrim.
Yeah, no, I do agree. Anyway, that is the men's football wrapped up. We'll move on to the hurling. And again, I mean, it's a good day to be you, isn't it? We'll start off with Division 1A's round 3. And of course, your own County Cork beating Waterford in Páirc Uí Chaoimh. 121 to the Rebels, 119 to the Daisha. Davy Fitz's post-match interview, he said it's the third quarter again, and he very much made it known that he is sick of that third quarter. It caught Waterford again. Cork pushed 9 points clear by the 49th minute when Jack O'Connor hit the back of the net. The Daisha roared back from this. They woke up all of a sudden when they were 9 points behind. Jamie Barron, Paddy Levy, Michael Kiley, Connor Sheehan all to the fore. But Cork held on for the win. And it's a big win because losing to Clare, losing to Kilkenny, you could say, oh, well, those are two of, definitely two of the top 4 teams in the country. Waterford, did finish bottom in Munster last season. And like a lot of people were saying, if Cork were to lose this game, there would be a little bit of worry. But Cork didn't. Cork won.
Yeah, it was a big win for them more than anything. And I think the disappointing aspect from a Cork point of view was the end of the game. They let Waterford back into it a bit too easy. Maybe they just took the foot off the accelerator, let Waterford back into it. But Waterford, again, I watched their last 2 games against Clare and Cork, and it's the exact same as what Davey was saying. Third quarter, really, really poor. I think Cork absolutely steamrolled them in that third quarter. And overall, actually, we talked about their shot accuracy against Kilkenny, and it was really, really poor. Today, it was 68%, and it was high into 80% in some stages of the game today as well. So that's a positive. And negative for Cork point of view, Waterford actually had more shots than Cork. So that's probably a warning sign for Pat Ryan. You can't perform at that level for the rest of the season. But then again, it's job done. They got over the line, and that was the key thing from a Cork point of view. And massive as well was Jack O'Connor's performance, scoring 1-3 from play. He was really, really buzzing around the forward line. He was running up and down the field. The goal he took was really, really good too. So I think there's a lot of positives to take from Cork, but then again, there's a lot to work on, as Pat Ryan emphasised in the match interview, and Jack O'Connor and Sean O'Donoghue who did the same on TG Carr earlier today. But for Waterford, I think it's just sickening. That period in the game, they always flatter to deceive. And Davy Fitz has to fix that up. If he doesn't, it could be a similar season to last season.
Yeah, and it'd be interesting. What do you think it is? Why do teams only wake up when the gun's to their head? what, like, and it's gas as well, because like, the amount of times I've watched sports across the board, I know it's a general point, but like that a team is chasing a game, and then the minute they go in front, they panic and go back into their shell, and then the team that was under the cosh for 20 minutes suddenly is dominating the ball. It's a remarkable common trend, isn't it, with the hurling and everything like that, with every sport. It's really, really bizarre. With Davy Fitz as well, like, you get the sense his back is really against the wall, and I just wonder, like, what the Waterford players make out of it, because, like, it's okay. Look, we love characters in the game. But Davy's post-match interview, he really, really, really seemed frustrated. And my thing is if you're a Waterford player and, like, for example, you hear Davy's post-match comments, I don't know what you'd make of it. And, like, before we go into it, we have a comment in here from Jack, obviously a dub. Only logging in now. Great win for the Dubs. Kerry will not like the way they lost. Need to improve in several areas. Couldn't agree more, Jack. What a win for the Dubs. But going back to the point I was making, Davies, like you said, it's the same effing thing that 15 minutes after halftime. You don't hear Brian Cody saying that. You don't hear like Desi Farrell saying that. I don't know. What would you make of it?
Maybe he's just lost the plot, Séamus.
Yeah.
Could be. You know, surely not as bad as
last night.
Oh, that's both Dublin and Kerry again. But from a Waterford point of view, yeah, it's a weird one, because like last year was very similar in many ways. They performed it well in some aspects of the game. Like even the Limerick game, I was thinking last season, they performed really, really badly in the first half. And then the second half, they started to turn on when the gun is to their head, as you mentioned. Mm-hmm. Why did they do that? Like, what's the point? You know, they very nearly won today, but they won't do that in every single game. That was a Cork team that kind of took their foot off the accelerator. But what if the team doesn't take the foot off the accelerator? What if you face
that's what I mean. I'll read the full quote and then see what you make of it. So this is via the 42. She said, it's the same effing thing that 15 minutes after halftime, the exact same as the last two games. I think Cork are one of the best teams out there. I'd be very straight. I think they are. But we effing made them look exceptionally good with the way we let them run at us for the first 15 minutes. We stood off. We were in control in the first half. I didn't think we were under pressure too much, to tell you the truth. Playing against the breeze, I thought we should have gone in level or up one, and then we effing go down 10. But I'm so proud of the boys. If that was over the last 5 or 6 years and at different times they're going down 10, then they'd go down 15 or 20. I think you saw the fight that's in them today. I'd say there were 4 or 5 wides that will kick ourselves over, and I mean bad ones in really scoreable positions that we've got to put over the bar. Happy with the attitude, but I'm not happy with that 15, 17 minutes. It's just annoying, and we've got to sort it out. I mean, I don't know. That just sounds to me like you're melting. And like the whole, everyone around in the media saying it, Waterford are a guarantee to finish bottom in Munster. I just look at it as very similar to Glen Ryan, like not on the same level, but I look at it as like you are really lashing out, like.
Yeah. And it's
just like to lose your cool like that and to be like, you know, swearing and everything like in the pot. I'm just a bit like, he seems like he's really under pressure. Do you know what I mean? He doesn't, because Davy's initial character was like, he was like this on like cheeky chappy, like a bit happy, like, but a bit, you know, a bit cheeky or something like that. And he doesn't seem cheeky happy now. He seems genuinely pissed off.
Yeah. And that's a sign that he's cracking. He's cracking as a Waterford manager. And even you could see him on the sideline, there was some frustration from him today. I think he had a bit of an argument with Pat Ryan on the sideline as well. And Pat Ryan wouldn't hardly hit the arguments. He was trying to coerce him to do it. It doesn't look good. Doesn't really look good. And even the backroom team, and I said this on many podcasts this year in particular, the backroom team he's made is very, very weird. Owen Kenny for Tipperary. That's not going to end well.
Where's he going?
Then you've Jonathan O'Callaghan. I know he's a good rugby coach, and things like that, and he's very good at motivating people and artists for his family. But would he know much about hurling? No. So why put him in? You know, it's.
I think like there's a place for people like that. I mean, like Bernard Dunn was Dublin performance coach for years. He's a boxer. Like there's areas of different sports that you can bring, but I do agree with you in the sense that like it's a bit of a mad backroom team that he's put together. It just like that whole thing. Like Denise has here, how long did Davy agree to stay with Waterford for? Was it 2 years? I actually don't know. Was it 2 years to Davy?
I think it was actually, yeah.
So this is what I mean is that like personally the way that it's going to like summarize my point, the way that I think it goes is I think he either successfully creates that siege mentality where he does the dirty dozen trick and he says everybody's saying that we're useless, everyone says that we're not getting out of Munster, and Waterford have a great year and get out of Munster against all odds, or it goes up in smoke. I genuinely think it's only those two options because he seems so, you know, emotionally invested that I think it would be hard to just be like, okay, it didn't work. Do you know what I mean? I think Waterford either play outstanding or get whipped in every game this year.
Yeah. And that's the thing, you don't know what to expect from them. And that's the most frustrating thing.
Bye Davy at the end of the season.
Yeah. It looks really
I'd be
that way.
surprised if he was still here.
Yeah. Oh, I would be unbelievably surprised. And it doesn't look good. It really doesn't look good from a Waterford point of view, from Davy's point of view. From Davy's point of view, where does he go after this?
That's true. I hope he doesn't step away because the game is better with a character like him coaching. And I remember like there was a while ago where Aaron was saying that like Aaron wanted him to be the next Dublin manager. And like while I could see the argument for that, and I think it would be certainly somebody to get the crowd attending the hurling. We'll get to the Dublin hurling. If you can get the crowd to come and we get pumped, it does nothing for Dublin hurling. If you get the crowd to go, like we did for the Dublin Limerick game by having the Dublin Kerry game after it, and a lot of fans that usually only go to the football thought, oh, we might as well go to the hurling as well, show up and we lose by 18 points. And it was like death by 1,000 cuts watching it. It doesn't do much for the hurling. So I'd be saying hire the best man for the job. If Davy was to go to Dublin, make sure it's because he's the best man for the job. Don't do it just because like he'll get eyeballs on us. Hire him because he's the best man for the job. Like I personally would have gone with Micheál Donoghue. I think Donoghue was a good appointment. Eddie Brennan was another one that I would have always admired as a coach and thought I'd love to have him because he could bring us up the levels. And we have another comment here from Denise. He says, I think he would make a good Offaly manager, especially with hurling on the rise there. That's actually a good shout. That is a good shout, but it's just whether it, you know, falls into place or not. And he definitely would be able to give some good, you know, some good advice. He would be a good figure to have there for the likes of Adam Screeney and everything like that. Yeah, it's a very, very difficult one. And speaking of Offaly, we were talking about the third quarters making differences here. Sorry, I completely cut you off there. Where do you think he goes if Waterford isn't, you know, if it doesn't work out for him with the Daisha?
I would have thought the same as Aaron to Dublin. Mm-hmm. And really, because why I'd say for Dublin is Séamus. I think honestly, it's the money. Really, I think he.
Oh my god!
We had it right now, Marcus.
I mean.
It's true. It's true.
I mean, Dublin definitely would pay probably better than Waterford would.
Yeah. So that's even more of a reason to go there. As well as that, artists for his family is set in near to Dublin as well. So
yeah, that's true as well.
You know, and he basically runs that show. So I'm saying I think it would suit all parties for him to go there. But then again, like Denise mentioned, he'd go to Offaly, which is a good shout, I guess. But Offaly want to play front foot hurling. They want to play exciting hurling. Will they play that under Davy Fitz? I'm not sure. So whereas Dublin are kind of in the process of wanting to win all Ireland quarterfinals and all Ireland semi-finals. I think Davy could be the guy to do that, but not in a way for playing swashbuckling hurling. And I'm sure, Séamus, you'd love to win games in all Ireland quarters and semis rather than play exciting hurling.
Yeah, no, I genuinely get some results. I would rather that, we tried to play some sort of clever way against Limerick rather than, we'll get to that. Limerick scored a goal after 15 seconds. It was like, oh, for God's sake. Literally, is this how it's going already? And look, we'll get to that. We have more games to come. Anyway, we're mentioning about the third cup. I do think Davy with Dublin could be a match. It depends on how it adds up, and depends if Dublin want to cash in on players that we have now, like the Owen O'Donnells, like the Donald Burkes, everything like that, and try and make good out of it. Maybe there's a Leinster title there, depending on what state Kilkenny and Galway are in. Maybe if Henry leaves over the next 2 years, there might be an opening there to make it to a Leinster final. We don't know. We'll have to see how it plays out. Anyway, third quarters were also crucial in this game. Kilkenny beat Offaly by 126 to a goal and 19. So in this game here, Kilkenny remarkably hit a third quarter blitz. They outscored Offaly by a goal and 10 to 2 points to turn a 5-point deficit at halftime into a 6-point lead. From here, they never looked back, pushed on to a 7-point victory.
Fair play to Offaly. That's the first thing I'd say. Really, really good performance. And they proved the performance against Wexford wasn't a flash in the pan. And it proves that Offaly are a team that want to make the rise in the hurling pedestal. And fair play to them for doing that. Charlie Mitchell getting their goal today. Owen Cahill had a good performance as well. You other young players coming through the ranks as well. And Johnny Kelly seems to be doing a very, very good job with them. And he's playing exciting hurling with them. So it looks really, really good from Offaly point of view. For Kilkenny, look, it was job done. Simple as that. They would have been expected to win this game. Not the sort of game they were expecting at the start in terms of how it would go, but they got the win in the end, and you have to take 2 points and run in this sort of situation. But to be honest, James, fair play to Offaly, and that's the main thing out of this game. And they look in good state going into the next few games.
Yeah, they definitely do. They've done themselves proud. I mean, the draw against Wexford, everything like that. Good performances by Offaly. Look, the defeat to Waterford, the defeat to Kilkenny, those things will happen, especially in your first year back up in Division 1. But the draw at Wexford are drawing with everybody. 3 games, 3 draws. Wexford 113, Clare 16 points at Wexford Park. A low-scoring game for hurling. Let's just call a spade a spade. That is a halftime score in many games, especially in championship time. And another crazy stat, Wexford actually hit more wides than scores. They hit 15 wides and 14 scores. So, I mean, that's a bit of an interesting stat there for you. Séamus Casey led the way with 1-4 for Wexford. The goal came from a penalty. Davy Fitz was fantastic for Clare, hitting 5 points from play. Worryingly for Wexford, though, both Kevin Foley and Lee Chin went off with injuries.
Yeah, that's a worry for Wexford, but at the same time, there are positives. The fact they haven't lost again, and the fact they are staying with teams like Clare and Kilkenny and all these teams, and even Offaly going down to 30 men would have been tough for them, and they got to draw out of that, and they are staying in games. That's the main thing for Wexford. The bad points, though, is the 15 wides. And I remember doing stats of the game against Dublin last year in Croke Park, and they hit a similar number. I think it was even worse. I think they hit 19, 20 wides that day. And that ultimately cost them. Dublin hit a better shot accuracy than them and beat them. And I fear if Wexford get those habits going into the championship, they could rue to regret it. So I think that's something they need to fix up on if they are going to progress. But Keith Rossiter, it's a good start for him. It really is a good start for him as a Wexford manager. For Clare, look, it wasn't their vintage performance, but they got the draw and they'll take it and run. Again, they're unbeaten. 5 points out of possible 6. I think they'd be happy enough with that. If you told them that start, I think they would have been happy enough.
Yeah, no, I do agree. We'll move on then to Division 1B's round 3 as well. Starting with this one, Tipperary 325, Westmeath 221. Tipperary surviving a late scare from Westmeath, an own goal from goalkeeper Noel Canati. that proved to kind of be the settler that, like, okay, Tipperary were, over the line, but they certainly nearly tripped up right at the finish line. Westmeath, led superbly by David Williams, who hit 212 for the Maroon County. Good performance by Westmeath at Semple Stadium, once again pushing, an All-Ireland contender all the way.
Yeah, and again, like awfully fair play to Westmeath for doing it 2 weeks in a row, 2 match days in a row. Well done to them. And it was a 4-point game, I think, until Noel Canati put into his one net, unfortunately. And this is a Tipperary team that are on the up, with the likes of Garrett O'Connor, Jason Ford, Patrick Bonner-Barr, all them still on the pitch. So, like, it was always going to be a difficult game for Westmeath to go to Thurles and get results, but they have hard tried in this game. They really did. And fair play to them for putting up a fight. We didn't think they would, but they did. And maybe there's a sign there that we should take the likes of Westmeath and Offaly more seriously. But the thing is as well, Séamus, I said this previously, but these two are in the Joe McDonagh Cup this year.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to take the park right out. This should be very interesting, Joe McDonagh Cup this season. So, yeah, I think it'll be hotly contested this season. That's a second-tier competition.
Yeah, no, you got Laois and Kerry there as well. Like it's going to be really, really interesting to see who comes out of that. We have obviously Antrim against Galway as well. This one was not down to the wire. Galway making light work out of this. Evan Nyland with 13 points, and the 2 goals both came from Jason Flynn. Galway decisive in this one.
Yeah, really. Nothing else to say really in this game. Like Antrim were absolutely outclassed, and Galway absolutely tore asunder on them. And you couldn't see much out of this game. You couldn't learn anything. You couldn't analyse it. So yeah, good win for Galway.
Yeah, no doubt. We have one more game, and then we're moving on to the Camogie. We're going to round up round 2's action in the Camogie, and then the LGFA, of course, their Division 4 fixtures. And just, so the last hurling game, Dublin 118, Limerick 330. Anyway, moving on to... No. In all seriousness, we will talk about it. Dublin 118, Limerick 330. This was depressing to watch as a dub, like, in all seriousness, because we've been kept away from Limerick. Whatever way the championship has worked out, we've always, gone to the quarterfinal when they've gone straight through. Or, we just have never come up against them. Thank the Lord we've never come up against them, because this is a league game and it looked like they could do what they wanted. It was, as I said, death by 1,000 cuts. Limerick got a goal inside 15 seconds from Donegal O'Donnell. Dublin actually responded okay to it. Like, we weren't a million miles off them in the first half, but it did look like Limerick could just turn it whenever they wanted to. Tom Morrissey got the second goal, just as Dublin were 3 points behind. So Dublin had fought back to being 3 points behind. Morrissey gets the second goal. Limerick absolutely tore us apart from there. At half-time, it was 2-13 to 11 points. Then Limerick get the third goal in the second half from O'Donnell again. And then even though Sean Curry got the goal into Hill 16, the game was a turkey shoot from there. Limerick were just firing over point after point after point after point after point. And I mean, as I said, on a day where the fixtures had worked out as a doubleheader, the GA had made it happen that it was a doubleheader so that the Dublin football fans would watch the hurling team. And yeah, turkey shoot.
Yeah, exactly. And it looked at Aaron's videos and your videos online, it looked like the hurling support wasn't there either. And that's a problem from a Dublin point of view. But yeah, it's a worrying scoreline. I think Limerick, look, it's a standard performance from Limerick, and players coming back to the team were massive in this game. Tom Morrissey, obviously, you had a lot of good players coming back into it, and Limerick are going for the drive for 5 this season, and look in good state to do that. I think the main story, though, is unfortunately, James, and it is Dublin. Where are they going at the moment? That was, as you mentioned, turkey shoot. And
the only one missing was Donald O'Donnell as well. He's the only one missing. Donald Burke was there. Donald Burke was there. We don't have anybody that we can go, oh, well, he's coming back, or Donald O'Donnell comes back in. He's a defender. Like, what? We stop, Limerick score, 225 or something? We still get hammered with that scoreline. It's really worrying. But at the same time, one of the things that I always look at, and like I know it's not the best stat to use, but it's something I always look at just so you can kind of decide just how competitive a game might be, is genuinely, if you're playing against a team, how many of your players would get into their team? I think O'Donnell gets in. I think O'Donnell potentially gets in at fullback. But it's a real toss of a coin between him and Dan Morrissey. But I genuinely think O'Donnell is a fantastic defender. But apart from him, I don't think any of them do. Like Donald Burke, maybe like as a sub that gets game time. Can you think of anyone else?
Honestly, Séamus, I don't want to disappoint you, but no.
Yeah.
That's where Dublin are at the moment. That's where they are. But I think a quote that epitomises this, I think, from the 2021 championship, after Dublin lost to Cork in the All-Ireland quarter-final, Shane Dowling came out in the Sunday game and said, are Dublin overachieving or are they underachieving? And Shane Dowling says neither. Because when you look at it, if they're overachieving, it would get to an All-Ireland semi-final or final. If they're underachieving, you probably qualifiers or not get out of Leinster. So it seems like you're always in the same spot in the All-Ireland
That is
quarterfinal.
true. That's so true. It's been one step forward, one step back for like the last 7 years.
And it's just frustrating, I'd imagine, from a
Dubs
like
point. We lose Donald Burke. No, sorry. We find Donald Burke, we lose Paul Ryan. We find Conor Burke, we lose Liam Rush. Like, do you know what I mean? We find Eddie Gibbons and Sean Brennan, we lose Alan Nolan and Gary Maguire. Like, it's just like constantly just, and then we can't seem to get any quality hurlers to commit to the hurlers. Like Luke Swan on the football side, like gets the O'Byrne Cup team, but he's been nowhere near the league team. And he's still picking the football over the hurling. And if he'd picked the hurling, he would have got game time. 100%. So it's just like, why, like, there's no interest in playing the hurling, because we were talking about this. It's the prospects of winning something. If you're someone who is kind of guaranteed game time in both, the footballers have just annihilated Kerry in Croke Park. And the hurlers have been annihilated by the All-Ireland champions who look untouchable. So you're not going to win an All-Ireland with the hurlers. This year, we ain't going to win one. I've never thought we were further off than right now.
And the thing is, well, I think 2013, I'll go back to that season from a Dublin hurling point of view. That was the season
we were better than Limerick at that time. Like, we were better than them. Yeah. Like, 2011, we beat Limerick. 2009, we beat Limerick. Away from home. We went down to Semple Stadium and we beat Limerick in 2011.
Yeah.
And, like, you're just like, if you were to fast forward then and say, since then, you'll do nothing with all this goodwill behind the hurling right now, that the crowds were turning up and there was genuine interest. And we're not better than we were back then. We're worse.
That's true. That is actually so true. And even I was thinking back to the 2015 All-Ireland Championship. Like, against Galway, there was so much hope going to that game. You drew the first day, and then you lose absolutely handsomely in the second day. But then, actually, in 2015, you beat Limerick in Thurles. I remember that night. You beat a Limerick team that was managed by TJ Ryan and had Graham Mulcahy in the full forward line. That was still a good Limerick team. They got to the Munster final the previous season and won the Munster Championship 2 seasons ago as well. Now, I've thought that TJ Ryan, he's a smart coach. And Dublin beat them that season. And they didn't build up. That was the frustrating thing from their point of view. And even at the quarter-final against Waterford, like, you beat Limerick, you think, okay, go ahead and go on and beat Waterford, go for it. And I was actually at that game because Cork were playing Galway in the next game. But it's almost like you always expected Waterford to win it. And that's just a bad point from a Dublin standpoint. And as well as that, in 2021, there was an opportunity there to beat Cork. It never looked like Dublin were winning that game either. So, where are Dublin at the moment? And even against Clare last year, he got absolutely hammered. Once Donald Burke was off the pitch, that's it. You know, and that's a worrying sign for Dublin. I wonder what is wrong, because the club scene looks good. Kilmacud Crokes, Na Fianna actually look really, really good at the moment. And for example, Na Fianna put it all the way to O'Loughlin Gaels in the Leinster Championship. Why can't that form be translated onto the inter-county stage? And even you talk about footballers choosing football over hurling. I can count, I'd say, about 5 off the top of my head that have chosen football over hurling. Cormac Costello, Kieran Kilkenny, Dermot Connolly, Luke Swan,
Con
Lee
O'Callaghan,
Gannon,
Eric
Con
Lennon,
O'Callaghan,
Emmett O'Keneally, Lee Gannon, Tomas Brady. I remember the worst one was Tomas Brady. Because I remember in 2015, he swapped from being Dublin's starting fullback to a substitute for the footballers. I remember just being like, God, if there's ever an indication of where the grass is greener in these players' eyes, this guy is literally traded being a nailed-on starter to being a guy who's not guaranteed minutes at all.
And the only player that actually chose hurling over football that I can remember off the top of my head anyway is Conal Keaney.
Yeah. And Shane Ryan switched in 2010. He switched to the hurlers.
And that's it. It's not a good sign.
Yeah, that's it. Look, it's definitely a discussion, and maybe it's one that we should have, honestly, like how to fix Dublin hurling. Maybe it's something that we do need to have a deeper dive into, because it's something that the money has been put into Dublin. There's no question about it. The money has been put into Dublin hurling. No question about it. As you said, Davey would get a nice packet if you went there. The money's been put into Dublin hurling. The players have emerged, but they're just picking football. And what we need is a few players to take that step towards the hurling and, get the engagement and get the interest in. It's something that, there needs to be a plan for. No question about it. Needs to be a plan for. And for the GA itself, like Donald O'Cusack said it best, hurling should, and I understand why hurling fans, if I was from outside of Dublin and I was a hurling, diehard, I understand the concern of Dublin getting good at hurling. Like, would it go like the football, where Dublin would just become this, like, money-backed machine in people's eyes that, take over the hurling world with just like 7 teams back to back to back who are just unbelievably good. But hurling would benefit if the capital had a really, really strong team and a really good chance of winning the All-Ireland, because then you have the biggest part of the population in the country engaged. That's good for ticket sales. It's good for revenue, which is then good for the improvement of the game. It's definitely something to consider. Do you get the point I'm saying there? Like, I'm not saying that, I'm not labeling Dublin as that. I'm saying that people see them as this unstoppable juggernaut in the football, especially during the 2010s, and they were. And people were scared that, if they get that same backing in the hurling, that they could become that. I don't think that we would. I think Limerick, Tip, Kilkenny, Clare, Cork, I think the hurling culture in those counties is too strong for that to happen. But having a competitive Dublin would be good for the game.
Yeah, I think it would as well. Like, even all over the country, really, to have Antrim being a good hurling team, a lot of teams in Leinster, like Wexford. Yeah, exactly. Because it seems to be like, you could basically, right now in hurling, you could basically have all of Munster except Kerry, Kilkenny, Galway play the championship there, and that's your All-Ireland champions.
Well, that's like, realistically, right? Like, would you say, is this a wild statement? Do you think an All-Ireland winner in the next 10 years is coming from outside Limerick, Kilkenny, Clare, Cork, Tip, Galway?
Limerick,
Galway in them. Outside those 6. Galway, Limerick, Clare, Cork, Tip, Kilkenny.
You could argue, looking at the youngsters coming through Offaly, if they improve. Wexford, possibly.
So Waterford, the only ones outside there: Wexford, Dublin, Waterford, Offaly.
No, I wouldn't say Dublin. Right now. I'd say Offaly are more likely to win All-Ireland than Dublin are. Look at the underage structures.
Mm-hmm.
I would say
at least their best hurlers are playing hurling.
Yeah, and that's the reason there. So I wouldn't say Waterford right now. No, Wexford. good start for Keith Rossiter, but for right now, no, because I don't think youngsters are good enough there. I do think out of them six, the only one realistic to an extent is Offaly.
Yeah.
And even like they might their form might capitulate in the next few years or so. So we never know.
Yeah, no, it is true. Let's take a look at the Hurling League tables before we carry on. So Division 1 Group A now has Kilkenny sitting pretty at the top, joint with Clare, with 5 points each. Wexford on 3 after 3 draws. Waterford on 2 points along with Cork. Offaly at the bottom with 1 point. Division 1B, Limerick and Tipperary top with 3 wins out of 3. Galway in third with 4 points. Dublin in fourth with 2 points at a minus 28 score difference after that hammering that we received from Limerick. Westmeath and Antrim rooted to the bottom with 0 points each and a minus 53 score difference for Antrim. They're having a rough old time there at the bottom of the table. We'll move on now to the Camogie, and I just want to say a heartfelt apology to Denise and to Evelyn. I said that I would have the Camogie preview for the weekend done. I actually didn't get the chance to do it. Some work came up last minute. I had to get it done. I just didn't have the time. So I'm genuinely sorry I didn't have the time to do it. But as an apology, and just in general, week to week, we will be covering all of the league games. And of course, we're going to review the league games now. Division 1A's round 2, starting with your own County Cork, 3 from 3, won 6 to 6 points victory at the Set 2 Arena. A replay of last year's All-Ireland final, of course. No Amy O'Connor hat-trick there. Obviously, Amy O'Connor up there with the trophy. Not a bad photo. But the same result, a Cork victory. Not by as much, but still a Cork victory. And away from home too.
Yeah, big victory. And it's one of the 4 teams that seem to be doing well for Cork at the moment. And they seem very likely for an All-Ireland again. Like from what I was hearing anyway, Ashley Thompson was actually excellent at centre back. She has a new role in this team. You have Saoirse McCarthy playing a wing forward this year. So there's a lot of chopping and changing. Actually, Amy started on the bench yesterday. So and Orla Cala got the goal. Really good for her to get the goal. And in fairness, Manley, first 2 games, 2 wins. So you can't ask for much more. It was always going to be tough to replace Patrick Toomey. But to be fair, he has been in the backroom team. He has been learning the trade under Matthew's stewardship, more or less. So he does know the reins, more or less. So fair play to Cork Camogie for getting over the line. But it was a low-scoring game, but they got over the line in the end. A very good performance from them. And for Waterford, look, they had a good win last weekend with Niamh Rock and Beck Carton doing well. But Cork seem to be at a different level to Waterford at the moment. I honestly think your All-Ireland winner will come from either Kilkenny or Cork this year, and that's probably not a bold statement whatsoever.
Yeah, well, I mean, Galway lost, so like we'll cover that. Galway lost to Tipperary 3-10 to 113 at the Rag. Emer McCrath, 3-7 from her, absolutely outstanding. I mean, this is a woman who, you know, recently won the Ashburn Cup with UL as well as a key part of that team, scoring goals in the final against TU Dublin. And she's leading her county to victory over the tribeswomen at the Rag. I mean, it's not a bad time to be her. Tipperary with a big win. This is an impressive one.
Really big win. And Emer McGrath, as you mentioned there, this the form she's in at the moment. Brilliant. 3 goals and 7 points. I think a lot for play as well. Hat-trick of goals, as you mentioned with Conor Catlin earlier in the chat here. Like, to score a hat-trick in any game is outstanding. And fair play to Emer McGrath for doing that. And Tipperary are kind of that team. You would have expected them to get to the All-Ireland final last year because they were much better than Waterford. But Waterford caught them on the hop last year. And I think Dennis Kelly will be just hoping that this year will be the year for them to reach the All-Ireland final. They do have excellent players like Clodagh McIntyre, Caught Van, Emer McGrath, as we mentioned there. Carrie Blair's very good as well. Casey Hennessy. Like, there are good players again in Tipperary, excuse me. So, like, they'll be focused again into the All-Ireland final. As for Galway, you might have wondered why I didn't have Galway in the All-Ireland pedestal alongside Cork and Kilkenny. The reason is, I looked at Galway's lineup. There's no Niamh Kilkenny. There's no Sarah Dervin. I wonder where are they at the moment. Like, they are 2 really leaders in the Galway team. Yes, the McGraths are still there, Siobhan and Orla. And Sabina Rabbit will be a young player that wants to take up the mantle in the next few years. But Cathal Murray is a good coach. But I just feel the experienced players, Heather Cooney's another one that's gone for the Galway panel. I feel like the experienced players have left the Galway panel slowly but surely, and that has probably brought them down a small bit. So that'll be my worry about Galway. They do have good young players, but I worry about the leadership of the team more than anything else.
Yeah, it definitely feels like somewhat at the end of that era of players, and you are right, they haven't had like a stand on the podium end of era type moment, but just bit by bit, player by player, they're kind of slipping out the back door a bit. And I don't really like when it goes like that, but it does go like that more often than not. Teams don't usually win the All-Ireland and then all retire immediately after. But yeah, one of the teams you mentioned is, being the favourites for the All-Ireland is Kilkenny. Very impressive victory over Clare at Nolan Park. 10-point win. Lorna McNamara deserves a shout. 1-5 for her, by herself against the Banner County. Kilkenny's goal came from Aoife Doyle. Very strong performers around the field. Steffi Fitzgerald, Julianne Malone, Katie Nolan. Like a very, very good win for the Cats.
And Kilkenny has serious players this year, and that's why I'd say they're the close challenges to Cork. Like Aoife Doyle, she has her injury worries over the last few seasons, and to get, I think, 2 goals in 2 games out for her is absolutely brilliant. Katie Nolan, as you mentioned there, really good performance. You still have Mary Walsh to go back into the team, so that will be a close, I'd imagine. Aoife Prendergast is on the bench, and you see how well she played for Dixborough in the club championship. So Kilkenny definitely have the numbers, and Brian Dowling leaving his post last year was always going to be difficult for the new Kilkenny manager to come in. But in fairness, they've got 2 wins on the bounce, and fair play to them for that. Lorna McNamara, as you mentioned there, has always been a very good player for Clare, and always been the main woman for them in many ways. And to get 1-5, and she was part of the UL team as well for the Ashburn Cup, so deserves a lot of plaudits to her direction as well. But good win for Kilkenny, and they'll be a serious team this year, I have no doubt.
Yeah, no, I'm exactly the same. And the new boss in there, of course, the chap, Pat Clare. We'll move on to 1B, round 2. And starting off, we have Down against Antrim. That one finished 1-8 to Down, 2-9 to Antrim in Attical. So the Saffrons picking up the victory there in the Ulster Derby, winning by 4 points.
Yeah, big win for Antrim here. There wasn't actually a match report on this game, so it's kind of hard to judge anything. Yeah. Like Division 1 games in Camogie, and there's no match reports. Like, it's a disgrace in many ways, James. It's just disrespectful, isn't it? Antrim and Down have very good players on either side. Obviously, Down have Paul O'Hagan. I don't know if she's still playing now, but Niamh Mallon's another one.
McCormick as well is brilliant.
McCormick from Antrim, and Maeve Kelly as well. Really, really good player. So the fact there wasn't a match report on this is actually a disgrace, if there isn't any to this night here. But very good win for Antrim, and I'm sure with the players that they do have, especially Maeve Kelly and Roisin McCormick. Like, Roisin McCormick's exceptional, I have to say. Like, out of the team, Dublin,
pound for pound, one of the best in the country. No question.
Jeez, that's not even a debate. Like, she's absolutely incredible in his own right. She got 111 out of 112 for TU Dublin in the recent Ashburn Cup final. So shows all the qualities that she does have, and if Maeve Kelly can get the form that she produced in the intermediate final a few seasons ago, Antrim could be going places in the next few seasons. So, and what I will say, Séamus, is it's great to see 3 Ulster sides in the senior championship this year. You've Down, you've Derry, and you have Antrim. So it's great to see Ulster Camogie on the rise.
No, it certainly is. And it's the same with Camogie as it is for the hurling, as it is for any sport. The more teams that are progressing, the better, and they have a fantastic structure for getting these teams to improve across the board. LGFA as well. When you see Meath rising through the ranks the way that they did. Kerry against Limerick then. Limerick annihilated them. 323 to 1-4 at Ballyhaig. Caoimhe Costello with 2-5. Niamh Ryan with 1-4. Very impressive by Limerick.
Really, really good. And other good performances come from Caoimhe Lyons and Rebecca DeLee. And they're a very good team, Limerick. They're probably a bit too good for this sort of division. They should be in Division 1A. They got to an All-Ireland quarter-final a few seasons ago, lost out to Waterford. They'd want to get batter up again. And they do have good players, like Caoimhe Costello, as you mentioned there, was an excellent player. Rebecca DeLee's brilliant as well. So Limerick do have the players. But for Kerry, look, they did well to get up to Division 1 last year, didn't they? To beat Meath in that league final last year. But it looks like so far, I know it's only a match they won, but it looks like this division could be a bit too soon for them.
Yeah, it definitely does. And it was a bad week for Dublin in the small ball across the board. Dublin losing to Wexford 215 to 17 points. And now like the Bala, Aisling Maher hit 10 points for Dublin, but Ciara O'Connor on the other side scored 10 points for the model county. Wexford getting the victory in this one.
Yeah, big win for Wexford, and they do have very good players like Chloe Fox in the forward line as well. So, yeah, Wexford, they've won the All Ireland in the past 15 years. They'd want to do so again with the likes of Ursula Jacob and that team, Mags Darcy. Of course, they want to be back up at that pedestal again. It will take time. They drew against Kilkenny last year, the senior championship. Most people seem to forget. So they do have good players like Ciara O'Connor.
Yeah.
They are, no. Where Wexford Camogie was over the last few seasons, like they couldn't put a team on the pitch, I think, a few seasons ago. And now they're drawing against teams like Kilkenny and beating Dublin in the league and producing good performances from Ciara O'Connor and Chloe Fox and all them. Like, it does tell you that Wexford Camogie is on the rise, and a very good result for them. And I think they will be up there with Limerick to go up to Division 1A this year.
Yeah, no, I do agree. And let's take a look at the two tables just to remind ourselves what it looks like. So 1A there, Cork sitting pretty at the top, 2 wins from 2. Kilkenny, Galway, Tipperary and Waterford all on 2 points. That's crazy to see when you look at it like that. Clare rooted to the bottom with 0 points out of 2 games. They look in a bit of a bad position because you're not really seeing where the victories are coming from there. In 1B, Limerick and Antrim and Wexford all at the top with 1 win from 1 game down. Dublin and Kerry all down the bottom there of the table. Anyway, we'll move on and we'll round up Division 4 in the LGFA. There were 4 games in the LGFA leagues across the weekend. All were taking place in Division 4, which is running on its completely own schedule. They're on round 6 already. So we'll run through these games. Carlow lost to Leitrim at set 2. Carlow by 2-15 to 1-9. Leitrim continued to hit the back of the net at an alarming rate. Derry beat Kilkenny 3-16 to 1-4 in Celtic Park. Limerick lost to Fermanagh 4 points to 9 in Fiohanna Castlemahon. And Longford lost to Wicklow 1-13 to 2-8 at Pearse Park in the doubleheader, of course. Yeah, what did you make of these?
Yeah, I think the main story from this, I'm open to correction this, Séamus, but I think the Division 4 final will be between Fermanagh and Leitrim. It's confirmed now. So, and deservedly.
Yeah. Let's take a look at the table. So,
yeah,
there we have it.
So, 3 points for a win there. So, Carlow can't catch Leitrim. So, it is confirmed. Yeah. So, yeah, really deserve to. Like, Leitrim have had some very good performances. Leah Fox has been brilliant. Michelle Guckian has been superb as well. And they deserve to be in the final. And Fermanagh, we said this on podcast after podcast, Fermanagh are too good for Division 4. When you look at the players that they have, Emer Smith, Brenda Bannon. Right now, I would think Fermanagh with the players that they do have. Yeah, they look really, really good.
They
like
won't let Leitrim score those goals the way that Leitrim have scored them against everybody else.
Very true. Yeah, they won't. And that's the thing. They do have a very good defence. They have a good midfield as well. Brenda Bannon's absolutely excellent. Like Emer Smith's on red hot form. I have to do the score statistics, obviously, with college and stuff. I've tried to get onto it, but I will get onto it in the next few weeks now. But she's been on fabulous form. You've Blotty Bogue as well. I've seen her in the junior final in the last 2 seasons, and she looked in that game against Antrim a couple of seasons ago like the best player on the pitch. So you know the levels that she could go up on as well. So Fermanagh do have excellent players. There's no doubt about that. Leitrim do too, but I'd have to fancy Fermanagh to go on and win the final.
Yeah, no, I do agree with you. I think Fermanagh proved themselves to be a little bit too strong for the division in every game. Leitrim have blasted teams away, but I think Fermanagh's method of victory is more efficient in those type of tight finals. Anyway, that has been 1 hour, 50 minutes in the book. We have recapped all of the league action from across men's football, LGFA, hurling and camogie, which took place over the weekend. So please like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. It takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, but we love talking about it. And we'll be back here once again for the weekend preview and the weekend review next weekend. So do tune in then. My thanks to Matthew for jumping on. Go check out Gaelic Statsman if you somehow don't already know about the pages that he has. It's a must follow in the GA. Anyway, guys, that's been all from us. Until the next episode, guys, here on Cluiche. Take care.